Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creators. It is I, the mayor, Livvy voice, in the mayor's office. Actually, I'm not even in the mayor's office. I'm actually in a hotel in Chicago right now, going between business meetings, but I had to stop down because I'm talking with someone who's part of the future of music. Please welcome Livvy D to the show. Livvy, how's it going?
Hi, Flo. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on here to talk about my new debut coming out this Friday, actually, Take a Number.
Oh, let's get right into it. Talk about Take a Number. What was the story behind that? When you decided to make that your first single?
So the story behind Take a Number, I actually wrote it the day after I went on a super bad date. And the guy gave me Uber home, so that's the opening line, and that's my favorite line of the song.
What made it a bad date? Was it like he was late? Did he have food in his teeth, or?
He was just kind of rude. Don't be rude.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
don't be a jerk is always a good sound line. So you guys decided to let's take a step back though. Was music always the passion? When did you decide to lean into that full bear?
Music's been a passion in my life ever since I was little. I've always loved music. I've loved all of the different genres. So it was just a no-brainer when I got the opportunity to record with Eric and Danny from NI Music Group. They've worked with big artists like Puddle of Mud and Sean Kingston, so it was just a no-brainer to go out to LA and record with them.
Yeah, how'd you go about selecting your team? I know there's probably a lot of qualified people out there. How did your team now make the cut?
Yeah, so I picked my team at a conference actually in Chicago, and when I was auditioning, Eric just really stood out to me from NI Music Group, and he was great. I auditioned for him. He talked to me. He saw my vision, and we just went from there.
For someone who doesn't really know much about Livvy D, how do you describe who she is to you as an artist? I know it might be like a skin you put on or a coat you put on when you perform. What's that like for someone who may not be too familiar?
Yeah, Livvy D to me is just fun, sassy. She's confident. She's a little bit country, but she definitely is super bougie. That's who I am. It shows all sides of my personality.
Yeah, for sure. Country bougie. I like it.
Yeah, definitely.
So we talked about teams on the professional side, but on the personal side too, when we're artists and we're trying to get our name out there, there could be a lot of wins days, a lot of losing days. Like, who do you confide in? Who do you speak to when you decide, hey, I need some advice, someone to nudge, just what's going on?
Definitely my mom is a big part of my support system. I mean, she's the best. She supported me since the beginning. Some other people are my vocal coach, Kenna Page, who's actually in my song. She's my best friend, and I love her. We have so much fun on set together. So those are my two main.
Do you get the late night text like, oh my God, I crushed it on stage this week?
Literally, yeah. Sometimes I'll just text her and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening because it's my dream come true. So for this to be happening, it's still really surreal.
So speaking about surreal, I mean, the debut single is always the largest one. I mean, did you have a moment there in the booth when you're listening to Take a Number going like, oh yeah, this is it, man. This could be the start of a whole new path for Livvy D?
Definitely. Recording my first few songs, I definitely see a difference between then and now when I recorded. I definitely have found my sound, and I'm learning more every day. So there was a moment in the studio that I was like, this actually sounds really good, and I'm really excited.
Are you a morning, afternoon, late night song in the studio person? Like when are you most creative?
In the studio, I usually do afternoon, but I do a lot of my at home writing and practicing at night. I'm a night owl. I've always been very just up at night.
Teach me the ways, because I'm an old man. Like, I'm in bed by 10, I'm up by 5.
I don't know how I do it sometimes, but yeah. I do.
How do you balance the needs of you as an individual, like the working out, the meeting new people, the networking side, the business side of what you're about, and the art, the craft of music making? What's been your balance? How do you approach that?
I definitely schedule a lot. I use my calendar a lot, and I just have everything blocked out from practicing to music videos. So it's very organized. I try and stay really organized and then just have my creative side come out on set.
So if I'm a friend of yours and I go, hey, let's go hang out, you're like, hey, man, next Thursday is the only opening I have.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Where are you based right now?
I am based in Virginia right now. That's my hometown.
Okay.
So yeah.
And so you're an original. So have you gone to come back, or are you staying in the Virginia market, the Virginia
I
area?
don't I don't know yet. I'm kind of up in the air. I definitely like to float around. I love traveling, so any chance I get to get on a plane, I'm there.
For sure. Cliche question then. Has the upbringing influenced the way of the world, the perspective of the music making? Is there like a Virginia sound you try to impart into your music, or is it kind of like you take influences from everywhere?
Definitely, there is a little bit. You'll hear in some of my songs, they're a little more country. I do have four horses, so horseback ride. I've been riding as long as I've been singing. So there's a little bit of like country. You'll hear bonfire because that's how I grew up. That was like my high school bonfires and in the fields and just with the horses, rain or shine.
Yeah, what are their names? If you don't mind me asking.
So I have a miniature pony. Her name is Wish. And then I have a pony named Diamond. And then my two big horses are Red and Haley.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. I'm from Brooklyn, so the only horses that we saw were like ridden by cops. But, but props that you have four of those. Are they temperamental? Are they good horses?
They're pretty good. There's one, she's a little sassy, but she also is, she was bred with a French horse. So she's pretty sassy. She has her moments, but she's nice. She's sweet.
So already you started from humble beginnings, and now you're seeing the country and the world. I mean, you got to go to Nashville to work on the craft. What's that city like for an aspiring musician?
I loved Nashville. It was my first time, and I had the best time. It was so cool. Just, I loved the vibe. I loved the energy. It was a very nice and clean city. So it was a really fun time. I got to go with my brother and my mom actually on the trip. My brother was on spring break from school. So it was super exciting to just have all of them.
I've been there once in July, and it was the most humid time of my. I was so sticky. I was miserable. But Nash Vegas is true. A lot of music, a lot of culture, just a lot of hustle and bustle. It's one of my favorites. If I can, have a towel to wipe it all down. So when you are traveling, has any special cities or venues popped into your mind when you go, hey, look, when I go on tour, I want to make sure I hit up this city, hit up this venue, see these people?
Definitely Florida. I love the heat. So LA and Florida, I love. Chicago is obviously where I got my start in the entertainment industry. So Chicago has always just been it's been meaningful. Every time I fly into O'Hare, I always just reminisce. And I'm like, oh, this is where it all started. Like little 6-year-old me getting off the plane. I had no idea what I was getting into, but it's very exciting.
Well, I got a question for you on the performing side. So just for context, I'm not sure the long-term listeners know, I do DJ, more of an event-based DJ, but on the music side, I feel like there's a bit of a shift there because the olden days of paying thousands of dollars and trying to get signed are kind of out the window. There's a whole DIY ethic, have your social media following, build your fan base that way. Could be draining, but I got to ask you, what's been your approach? I mean, has it been a mix of the classical way of doing it, the more of the new school stuff? How are you going out getting the Livvy brand out there?
It's definitely a mix of both. Definitely the social media following is what we're pushing for. Follow at Livvy D Music on Instagram. But yeah, definitely the social media has been a huge help. I feel like social media really bumped up my career because, everybody can see it. It's on the internet. So I get to really interact with people from all over the world.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of cool to get the advertisement out there, go on tour, and then actually have like the in real life and digital presence is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So as a personal question, we talked about the start of Take a Number being a bad day, but what's a good date? What is an ideal date with Livvy D like?
Ooh, an ideal date with me. I'm pretty simple, but I like it to be classy. I love nature. If a guy was like, hey, let's have a picnic in your field, I would be like, yes, thank you. I love my animals. I have a bunny, I have a dog, and then I have the 4 horses. I've had almost every animal. So anything with my animals is really, really a perfect date for me.
You heard it there, fellas. Don't go too crazy. Just go out there for a picnic. The simple stuff works all the time.
Yeah, I love to laugh. So if you're funny, hit me up.
So I know as a creative that there's gonna be some days where it'd be crazy draining. You know, you're out there trying to make it work. You may not hit the note you want or write the line of your songwriters you would like, and you want to recharge. How does Livvy D recharge? Do you sit home? Do you bitch out? Do you go ride the horses? Like, what do you do to refill that cup of energy?
I go out with the horses, or I'll just go throw the ball with my dog. I love just being out in nature and out on the farm. That's really how I unwind.
Wow, that's what's going to happen when you're on tour. Like if you're like in Amsterdam or something, you're like, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't know what.
I love my team so much that I don't. When I'm with them, I really don't feel like I need to unwind. Usually, I just go back to my hotel room and I fall asleep right after I get back from the studio.
Yeah.
And I do it all again.
Now, if you forgive me, I feel like I have to ask you a cliche question, and I apologize, but it's a podcast, so I have to do it. Who would you mark as some of your musical influences? Oh, I just hate even asking that.
I listen to everybody. My first concert actually was with Kesha. So she's somebody I look up to. I've loved her forever. Something I've been into recently is Young Gravy.
Okay, yeah.
I love all the artists like Migos and those. That's what I personally listen to. But then I also will listen to like Luke Bryan or Florida Georgia Line. So I'm all over the place. That's like my brand.
I'm a firm believer that Luke Bryan is like the Drake of country music. Like school guys hate them, but everyone dances when I play the song. So it's
true. Everybody knows it. Knows it.
That's my kind of night. Livvy D, I actually ask a lot of the guests on the Amsterdam Radio podcast some little bit of a lightning round questions. Are you down to play around?
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody in the world, at least I believe so, collects something. What do you collect?
Other than animals, I would say sunglasses. I love designer sunglasses.
Are you an aviator side or just all shapes or?
I like big dark sunglasses.
Yeah.
That's always been my thing.
Glam. If you can show us your travel bucket list, where are some countries or states you haven't been to that you want to go personally, not necessarily professionally, but just to visit?
I'd love to go to Australia. I would love to see Australia. I would love to go back to the Virgin Islands. That was super fun. The U.S. Virgin Islands. I went there about a year ago, and I loved that. The clear water. Anywhere tropical, really.
Oh yeah, what part of the Virgin Islands? St. Croix, St. John?
We were at St. John. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. I haven't been there myself. My parents are from the Caribbean, so like I always go, I'll get around to it, but never done it.
I love that.
Yeah, I've done it to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Maybe I'll do that in the future if I ever get a chance to go out there. So when you have a day off, and we talked about refilling the cup, but when you have a day off, do you believe in days off, or do you work every day? And if you do believe in day off, what do you do on your day off?
I believe in days off. I don't take many, but, but on a day off, just hanging out with my family. They're the most important people in my life. So just hanging out with them, having a chill day, swimming in the pool, just simple.
Yep. And finally, a lot of times people have the idea of becoming a musician or a break dancer or a painter or whatever, but they need that like little nudge. And maybe if you have some advice for someone who may be contemplating leading into their passion or their path, what would you say to them?
Do it. It's the best thing I ever do. If you only live once. It's the best thing I ever did was following my dreams. So I encourage anybody to follow their dreams.
Absolutely. Livvy D, so much fun on the New Amsterdam Radio podcast. Now, here's the fun part. If I want to connect with you or find out about your next tour dates or buy some merch, how do I go about doing that?
You can buy merch on livvydmusic.com, and you can follow me at livvydmusic on Instagram.
Take a Number coming out this week. It's going to be a banger and a half. Make sure you check it out. Tell them New Amsterdam Radio podcast sent you. Thank you so much for being on. I want to have you back later on and see how everything came through.
Thank you. That would be so fun. I had so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.